the gag is everybody out here, unless you're rich, is just trying to survive and figure out how to stay sane. Hey boos, welcome. Go ahead and grab that drink of choice, water, tea, coffee, wine, whatever you like to drink when we have our little powwows here. I'm just drinking some water today because I need water. I've been feeling dehydrated. So today's video, I just want to talk about living in LA. I've been living in LA for about 3 years now, but people who know me know that LA has been my second home since I was a baby, just because my dad and his side of the family has always lived here. So I've been very familiar with LA and the neighborhoods and everything, and I always knew I wanted to live out here. But there's just certain things about living in LA that people don't really talk about and that you don't really find out until you live here and really get into and get settled into the city. So that's what we're gonna talk about today. Now, for those of you who maybe are thinking about moving to LA, or you visited and you're like, oh, I wonder what it would be like to live there, this video is gonna be the real tea on living in LA, because we all know LA is very glamorized. You think of Hollywood and celebrities and beaches and lavish life, but it's not all that. Like it has those things, it does have those elements, but when you're living here, that's not what it is all the time. Do you get what I'm saying? So let's delve into the first, what do I want to call this? Let's get into the first aspect of living in LA that I think I wish I would have known more about before I moved here. Rent and the cost of living. Now, I am born and raised in California, so I know that California's cost of living is higher than pretty much any other state in America. However, living in LA is really next level when it comes to cost of living and rent prices and all of that. It's just so expensive to live here. Like, everything's expensive. The rent, the food, gas, everything. I think the hardest thing for me when I first moved here was trying to figure out where to live. As most people know, LA is really big as a county. A lot of people, when they think of LA, they think of Hollywood and like the beaches, but it goes a lot broader than that. Right now, I'm living in West LA and I love it over here. This is like where I grew up. It's where my dad always lived when I was growing up. So I really like it, but of course, this area is pretty expensive because we're near LAX. We're not too far from the beach. There's a lot of stuff to do around here. LMU isn't too far, so it's the cost of living and the rent prices over here are pretty expensive. Also, they're doing a lot of building. There's literally an apartment building right next door that's being built and opening up as we speak. There's 2 other apartment buildings that are being built on my street right now. Around the corner, there's like 3 other apartment buildings. Like, they're just constantly throwing up buildings like every day. It is what it is. Construction is just always ongoing in LA. When I got my first place, like when I was living by myself, I wanted to move out because I was living at my grandma's. If you guys saw my previous video, I kind of talked about that. Like, after I graduated college, I moved to my grandma's house. She lived in Leimert. And I was like, okay, I want to get my own place and try to move a little bit closer to where I was working in Santa Monica. And I found a place, a studio. It was right on the border between Santa Monica and Westwood. So it was kind of near UCLA in that area. And for my studio, it was $1,400, which I know in other states, you could like live in a house for that. It's wild, like it's really wild. I stayed there for a year, and then after my lease was up, I was like, I have to go because I can't. Like, I'm giving up like my whole check to my landlord. It's insane. So, and that's what a lot of people do, believe it or not. Like, before I got here, I just assumed everybody, lives on their own or, lives with their significant others, but no, like pretty much everyone that I know that lives out here either lives with a roommate or lives with multiple people, lives with family, something like that. And my thing is, if you have a roommate situation or you have family you can live with, take advantage of that, because there's no need and there's no use in struggling to live on your own and to pay rent if you don't have to. So I feel like it's definitely a pride thing, because I know that's how I was. When I was living in my apartment, I didn't want to leave. I just wanted to make it work so bad, because I was like, this is my place. I don't want to live with anyone else. I don't want to have to rely on anyone. But I mean, I have family out here that I could live with, so why not, you know? Like, don't struggle if you don't have to. So that's my advice on that. Now, if you're thinking about moving to LA, my biggest thing as far as rent and the neighborhoods and picking where you want to live is please do your research. LA is being heavily gentrified right now. You know, we have the Rams Stadium that's being built. We have a lot of changes that are going on in the different neighborhoods, but please do your research, because yeah, you need to know like where you're living. And I feel like a lot of people come out here and they just look at the rent prices like, oh, okay, that's a good price. Oh, I can afford that. And then you end up living somewhere crazy that you probably don't need to be living in. So just do your research, you know, look at the neighborhood and know where you're moving into before you actually move. That's all I'm saying. So the next aspect of LA that is a little interesting is the nightlife. I feel like people assume because LA is such a big city that the nightlife is just really popping. In my opinion, it's not. I feel like LA nightlife had its heyday like years ago. I don't think our nightlife is that great, just for the simple fact that it's just very extra out here. Like, I mean, this is kind of off topic, but a lot of people out here, you know, they want to be seen. They want people to think that they're somebody. You know, if they were in like one episode of a reality show, they all of a sudden think they're like a celebrity. And, you know, everybody just wants to be seen and wants to be looked at. Like, everybody wants to be a spectacle. And I don't know if that's because this is LA, or I don't know what that is. That could be a whole nother topic. But anyway, I just know like when I go out to clubs, it's always like a big production. Like when you're in line and you're trying to get in, it's just always like extra. And I know clubs in general, like wherever you go around the country or even around the world, are like that, but there's something different about LA. The nightlife, to me, I just haven't really been into it over the past few years. When I first turned 21 and I was able to go out, I used to go to Supper Club, which was like super popping back in the day. That's where all the celebrities would go out. That's not even open anymore. That got shut down. So now there's like Playhouse, there's Lore, there's like, what else is there? There's I've been to. Downtown, there's the Belasco. I don't really know too much about downtown because I don't really like going down there. And that's another thing too, is that I think people come to LA and they're shocked at how dirty certain areas are. Like Hollywood and downtown, those are like the big glamorized areas that are always on TV, and people are always like wanting to go there and sightsee, and then they get there and they're like disgusted because it's nasty. Like Hollywood Boulevard is disgusting. It's dirty. Like there's a lot of homeless people. And same thing with downtown. Downtown is absolutely filthy, like gross. Like I don't even like going there for anything, really. So anyway, back to like the whole nightlife situation. Another issue that I feel like a lot of our clubs have out here is that they're very racist. Now, whether that's the club itself, or if it's the bouncers, or if it's the promoters, I don't know. I'm not accusing anyone in particular. I'm just saying that a lot of the clubs out here are very racist. And if you go out and you're trying to get in somewhere, you'll see it immediately. We actually just went out to One Oak this past Saturday, and the only reason we got in was because one of my friends had like a connection with someone who worked there. But had we not had that, we wouldn't have gotten in, like, at all. And what was so crazy was when we got there, before we got in through my friend's connect, the bouncer came up to the line and was like, okay guys, it's $100 a person, no negotiation. So either be prepared to pay the $100 per head or don't. And I was like, $100? 100, like $100 bill, like per person for a club. You're really tripping. I wouldn't pay that to go out anywhere. Like, I don't care what club it is, what city, what celebrities are gonna be there. Like, I'm not paying that to get into a club. But it's like they charge that because they know that people from out of town are willing to pay it. They know that, you know, people who want to flex and just get into the club will pay it. Like, they do it because they know people will allow it. And that's what I don't like, is that it's just so extra to like go out here. But I will say that if you're looking for more laid back vibes, if you're looking for, you know, just a more laid back crowd, not a whole lot of flexing, and just, you know, drink and have a good time, dance. I like to go to day parties. I know a few promoters who put on day parties like every few months. There actually used to be this event called Thank You LA that was once a month. It doesn't go on anymore. I don't know if they're gonna bring it back, but they used to put it on every month. And that was cool because it was a day party and it was just fun. It was real laid back. Like, you RSVP and you could either get in for free or you buy your ticket, you show it to the door and you get in. Like, there's no extra, just extraness going on. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, the nightlife out here just isn't my favorite. Like, I'd rather go to Miami, honestly. I just like the nightlife out there better. But I say, if you do want to go out here, I recommend day parties. I recommend finding a nice brunch or a nice brunch party and do it that way. You know, find a bottomless mimosas place. But that's just more my speed now. I think also just because I'm getting older, I'm just like kind of over the whole club scene. Like, it's just not as glamorous as it once was. And also, like, going to the club, if I don't have a table, it's not worth it to me, because clubs are so crowded. And that's the other thing too, if you want to go out here and you want a table, they want you to spend thousands. Like $2,000 is an easy minimum at any given club out here. So yeah, I mean, if you want to do that, if you ballin' like that, you know, you can do that. But as for me, I'm not quite there yet, so I would rather just go to brunch and party that way. Another thing, you already know, traffic out here. It's not great. I think I heard a statistic that we have the worst traffic in the world. I'm gonna look and I'll insert the information. Traffic here is nonstop. I mean, we have rush hour, just like every major city does, you know, in the morning and then in the evening when people get off work. But traffic just doesn't really ever stop. There's always construction somewhere. There's always like a lane closure, a road closure, an exit closure. There's always accidents. It's always something to where we have traffic. I was on the road at 2 o'clock in standstill traffic. Like, that's not even close to the rush hour time, but there was traffic. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, we just have traffic all day, every day, like it's nonstop. The worst freeways are probably the 405 and the 10. If you can avoid those two, if you take the streets, if you can take any other freeway, I would do that. If you're looking to move down here, just know that you will be dealing with traffic, and traffic is not an excuse for you being late, because I'm telling you, your employer, or, you know, if you're meeting someone somewhere, that excuse is not gonna cut it, because there's traffic all the time. So just leave earlier. Even if your destination is like 5 miles away, give yourself 30 minutes. I'm telling you, just give yourself 30 minutes. So obviously with traffic, you know, LA is very congested and it's only growing. I mean, people keep moving here every day, really, every day. And I know a big reason why people are moving here now is because being an influencer is so big now. We have a lot of YouTubers that are moving to LA. We have a lot of, you know, beauty gurus, people who are interested in fashion. And of course, you know, actors and actresses, singers, songwriters are always coming to LA because it makes sense. This is, you know, the best place to be for that. But as far as, you know, influencers moving here, I would think twice, just because, you know, I know it's LA and it seems very glamorous and there's a lot of opportunities out here, there's brands out here, but there's just so many of y'all moving in. We're not about to have any space for you. Like, they're putting up apartment buildings left and right, hiking up the rent left and right. I don't know where you guys are all gonna fit. So if you can stay in whatever state you're in, you might wanna do that for a while and enjoy that cost of living before you move out here. All in all, I do love LA. I mean, this wasn't really meant to be like a bash LA video because I really do love living out here. But it's just, there's certain things about living out here that, you know, I don't love. But that's with anywhere you live. There's always gonna be pros and cons. There's always gonna be things that you love about the city and things you hate. And I just wanted to talk about, you know, some of the things that I just don't like, or things to think about before you move here, because there are things that people don't really talk about, and you don't see it in the media, you don't see it online, and it's always made to be like the city of dreams, the city of lights and Hollywood and cameras and get famous, and it's just not always like that. The gag is everybody out here, unless you're rich, is just trying to survive and figure out how to stay sane. It's expensive to live out here, and I feel like, you know, unless you have a setup to where you are just making buku money, you gotta work hard. And I told my brother too, my brother's living in Sac, and he was saying that he wants to move out here, and I told him straight up, do not move out here unless you have a solid plan and a decent amount of money saved up, because I know so many people who have moved out here just on a whim, which is cool, because sometimes you do have to just take that leap of faith and see where it goes. But I know so many people who did that and thought, okay, well, I'm just gonna move out there, I'll find a place to stay, and I'll figure it out as I go. And they end up being miserable because they had to, you know, live out of their car, or they had to couch surf, or whatever the case may be, because they're just trying to survive. And then they end up going back home. So it's not fun. And I mean, I've been in situations where I wanted to go back home too. Like, I was this close to moving back to Sac like 2 years ago. So, you know, it gets rough, and the city will eat you up if you allow it to. So I just say, you know, really do your research, look at the cost of living, what can you afford? Don't try to come out here and live above your means, you know, just to say you can. Look at transportation, you know, check out the nightlife if that's what you're into, and just have savings, like seriously, because if you don't, you'll regret it and you'll probably want to go back home. That concludes today's video on living in LA. Remember to like this video, please comment down below, and subscribe if you haven't already. I know I skipped 2 Sundays, I know. Last week I was sick, and then this past Sunday I wasn't home and I just wasn't prepared. I didn't have a video already recorded to edit and post, but I'm gonna get back on my schedule, so I post videos every single Sunday. This week I'll just be posting 2 to like make up for what I didn't post. So have a beautiful rest of your day. Cheers.